Hello guys, I welcome all of you to today's PHARMCAST. Today guys we'll discuss 5 drugs of choice. And since I've discussed almost all the important anti-cancer drugs, now onwards I think I will cover at least one monoclonal antibodies which is important for your revision, right? So we'll cover that in the second part, and at last I'll discuss some of the questions which has been asked by the students, right? So let us straight away begin with the drugs of choice for today. Right guys, so the first disorder for today is multiple myeloma. Now remember, in multiple myeloma, we never use a single drug. We rather use a combination of 3 drugs is what is recommended now. And one of them is bortezomib, right, which is a proteasome inhibitor. Another drug is lenalidomide, which is a sister drug of thalidomide. And the third drug is a steroid dexamethasone. So multiple myeloma, 3 drug combination is the treatment of choice: bortezomib, lenalidomide, and dexamethasone. Now guys, coming to the second disorder for today, that is multiple sclerosis. So multiple sclerosis, it depends upon what you are dealing with. If it is a case of acute attack of multiple sclerosis, then our drug of choice is intravenous methylprednisolone, because it is an autoimmune demyelinating disorder. So we need to suppress the immune system plus save the nerves. So we'll be using methylprednisolone. But if it is a case of RRMS, that is relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis, right? In that case, our drug of choice is interferon beta. And even if it is case of SPMS, that is secondarily progressive multiple sclerosis, still our drug of choice is interferon beta. If it is a case of PRMS is progressive remitting multiple sclerosis. So it is progressing as well as remitting. The only drug effective in PRMS is mitoxantrone. Whereas if it is a case of PPMS, primarily progressive multiple sclerosis, in that case no drug is effective. So I'll repeat once again: multiple sclerosis, acute attack, intravenous methylprednisolone; RRMS, SPMS, interferon beta; PRMS, mitoxantrone. Now moving on to third disorder for today. It's not a disorder but a choice of drug, muscle relaxant for intubation. Right guys, so which muscle relaxant do you think we should prefer for intubation? Now, should it be long acting or short acting? Obviously guys, I need to get done with intubation as soon as possible, so it has to be the shortest acting muscle relaxant. Which one do you think it is? Guys, it is succinylcholine. Now think, why succinylcholine is the shortest acting muscle relaxant? What could be the reason? Because it is metabolized by plasma esterase, and any drug that is metabolized in plasma is very short acting, right? Moving on to the next disorder guys, myasthenia gravis. Now remember, myasthenia gravis, if I'm using a drug for diagnosis, then my drug of choice is edrophonium, and the test is called as tensilon test. An alternative to edrophonium is neostigmine. Neostigmine can also be used in diagnosis, right? Whereas treatment of myasthenia gravis, for long-term management, we use pyridostigmine. And now moving on to the last disorder that is related to myasthenia gravis, that is myasthenic crisis. Now guys, if it is myasthenic crisis, then in that case, remember the drug of choice is immunoglobulins, intravenous immunoglobulins, IVIG. And if IVIG is not there, because they are pretty costly, right? So we don't have access to IVIG, you can also go for plasmapheresis. So that's all guys we had to discuss in this section of drug of choice. Now as I said, we'll be discussing here on some monoclonal antibodies. So the antibodies that I've chosen for today, these are called as PCSK9 inhibitors, or these are anti-PCSK9 monoclonal antibodies. And 2 drugs are there: evolocumab, EVOLOCUMAB, and alirocumab, ALIROCUMAB. So these PCSK9, anti-PCSK9 monoclonal antibodies, their main mechanism is, guys, what they do is they prevent degradation of LDL receptors, and because of which LDL receptors they increase, and thus plasma LDL decreases. So the use is to decrease plasma LDL in which patients? In patients who are not adequately responsive to statins, because statins are the most preferred drugs. So these are reserved drugs, and they are used only if the other drugs like statins or your bile acid binding resins or ezetimibe, they are not effective, it has to be our last resort. The reason being, they are very costly, as it happens with monoclonal antibodies. So remember guys, anti-PCSK9 monoclonal antibodies, evolocumab, alirocumab, these might be asked in your exams in the upcoming time, because they are quite commonly used nowadays, right? Alright guys, now let's move on to the last leg of our pharmcast for today. And today as well guys, you guys have asked me a lot of questions, right? So let me go through them one by one. Right, alright. So Vaishnavi Sai has asked, does spending 60% of my study time for QBank and 40 times for notes affect my revision? Because I'm on a speed track to complete the QBank, which I'm only halfway through till now. See, there is no set rule about how much time you should devote to notes and how much time you should devote to QBank. And as I've said time and again, right, you cannot be me, I cannot be you, and all of us are different, right? In our abilities, all of us are different in our priorities and how we must move forward, how we are comfortable with. So, for example, I am more comfortable with notes as compared to QBank, but there are students who are more comfortable with QBank as compared to notes, right? So it is just a matter of individual, perception. So if you are more bullish with the QBank, this does not mean that you are wrong. You are also right in your own sphere, in your own space. All right. So, but I'll tell you, you should have a plan, right? You cannot just go blindly to cover whole QBank and not giving, not being able to, in the due process, not being able to revise your notes at least once. So that should not be the case. So if you're bullish on QBank, go for it, does not matter. But you should have a plan, and by which you should be able to complete the notes as well as QBank, right? If you're able to do that, then there is nothing wrong in it, I would say. All right. There is another doubt by Ankush Singh, but I'll come this doubt at last, because this I usually, right? So there are some doubts which are unusual, which I come to at last, which are not related to study, but related to our life. So I discuss that at last. I'll come to this at last. All right. Irfan Ji has asked a doubt which has already been asked to me. Sir, during revision, if it is not possible to revise Pharmac fully, will it be sufficient if I just stick to your HD series of 100 drugs and revise them during the last minute? Can I get 50% questions right in Pharmac if I do this, sir? See, Irfan, there's a high possibility that you might do 50% of questions right. But I'm not sure if just doing 50% of questions right would get you rank, because we are scratching here for each and every possible answer. Now look at this with the eyes that I see. The purpose why I am running HD series, the purpose is entirely different. Because what I have done is I have chosen 100 most important drugs and diseases. And by posting one page every day, what I'm doing is I'm breaking it down into 100 days so that you can revise one disease or a drug every day. So I'm forcing you to do that so that you don't have to go bullish about it. You don't have to do a bolus revision, right? So that is the main idea you guys have to get. Because some of you keep on asking me, sir, why you are posting every day? Just give me the PDF and be done with it. No, that is not the purpose. I could have done, I could have given you the PDF and I would have been in peace, right? So, but I have to post it every day, make it every day, post every day. The reason behind it is, I want you not to revise it, to sit one day, 10 hours and revise all the 100 drugs. No, I don't want that. I want you to revise every drug, every day for just 15 to 20 minutes and you're done with it. And that way it increases your efficiency. So this HD series, why have I given you? I'll tell you the most important thing is, see, when you do a bigger revision, right, for 60 days, in the bigger revision, you have enough time that you can revise your Pharmac notes. But when I do a mini revision, let us say 15 to 20 days, so in those 15 to 20 days, I would not be able to revise entire Pharmac notes. So what I do? I need to revise what is most important. So that most important is something which I'm making you to revise every day, one page. So you would have revised those 100 pages by now. If you're doing it honestly every day, then what happens in those 15 to 20 days, you can forget about your notes, pick up this HD series and just revise these 100 pages. So that is possible in those 20 days. So that is what we need to do in those 20 days. When I do a mini revision, I need to revise whatever is most important, right? I have to stick to that. So that is what is most important, Irfan, but I would still advise you to somehow revise your notes if it is possible. I mean, because one question here and there wrong, and your rank will change drastically, right? All right, Ankush Singh is asking, sir, I have heard from my friends about modafinil that it helps you study for more hours. Should I take it as it is difficult for me to concentrate for long hours? What would be? See, modafinil is a stimulant, and all these stimulants, they have a very bigger drawback, and that is addiction. So there is a possibility that you might get addicted to modafinil. Second, modafinil is a stimulant, it will keep you awake. It does not mean that it would increase your concentration and attention. No, it does not mean, guys. So you have to be physiological. You have to be physiological, and if I don't know if you guys feel that or not, when you get into the last lap of revision, right, in the last 1.5 months, you will feel as if you have become a maniac. Why? Because you are able to accomplish so much in those period of time, because so much is at stake. So you yourself physiologically induce yourself into such a state as if you are in mania phase, and you are able to outperform the normal you, right? So that happens, and many of you will have a feeling in the last 1.5 months, because I had that feeling. And that is amazing, guys. That is amazing when you can physiologically induce yourself to that state. So you feel you're a totally different person then. So try to motivate yourself and do that physiologically rather than going for drugs, because drugs won't be a solution in each and every step of life, right? Now moving on to the next doubt. There is a student called as Yash Sharma, and he's a third year student. And it's a long doubt, but I'll just sum it up. So he's supposed to attend next, right, in 2022, and all other his batchmates, they are not serious about it, but he's serious about it, and he wants to study seriously. And he's just asking me, am I getting too serious too early? See, there is nothing like that. As I have said time and again, that we humans are different, right? The pattern, the way I used to study, my friends, they didn't used to study like that, right? Or it was always different. So as I have always said, I was like a person who used to study from exams to exams, and I used to do pretty well. So that was me. But there were other students who would study throughout the year, right? So, and they would also do well. But it is something with what you are comfortable with. So studying early and what you're doing, Yash, is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a good thing, right? You're being serious from now. And if you have a good grasp over these subjects, you are bound to perform well. Let us say if you study from now, then there would be a high chance that you will know more from your peers, your concepts would be more clear, there would be a higher chance of getting you a very good rank under 100, let us say. Now if you don't do this, you also might get a good rank, but it would be under 1000, but not under 100. So that is the difference it can make. And if you can live with it, that under 100, under 1000 does not make a difference to me, I can take any seat. If you're like that, then you can go ahead, right, not being serious. But I cannot fathom that being serious is a problem. It is not at all a problem. Yes, go ahead and study well and make your parents and yourself proud. There is nothing bad in it. Alright, so Ritvik Patnaik, he has asked, he's a second year student, and he has completed watching my videos and pathology Elaman's videos. How to score good marks in pharmacology, specifically how to answer long questions. See, Ritvik Patnaik, I'll tell you something, right? Teachers, whenever they go through the paper, they usually like when you write the long questions in your own words. And for that, you have to understand the topic, analyze that topic, and then reformulate your answer. I mean, you need to write down whatever you have understood. And whenever you have understood something, you write it, it is always in your own words, right? And that is something what impresses the examiners. So get down to a topic, remember the classifications. Classifications are important, right, in your exams. So to begin with, write down the classification of that drug, what drugs are there, what is the mechanism of action, what are the uses, what are the side effects, what are the contraindications, and you are done. Your long question is done, right? But you need to have your own way of writing it, and you can do that only if you have understood it well, right? So I hope I've answered your query. Next, coming to the next doubt, guys, there is a student called as Dr. SP. And Dr. SP's question is so huge, so long, that it is even longer than my pharmcast. So let me try to sum it up. All right. Alright, so he was or she was, I don't know, because SP I cannot guess the gender. So he or she, the student, he has a friend who was a support to him, and they broke up. So it was a breakup, and now because of that breakup, he or she has nowhere to go for that moral support that you are missing. And he or she has already started to perform poorly in the grand test, and he or she is not able to remember anything and delaying revisions. And so basically what's happening, you are going into a post breakup depression, Dr. SP. And see, these things they happen, and usually what happens, you're feeling like this because it might be your first breakup, right? So let me tell you something. Whenever you have your first breakup, right, and probably you are so much in love with that person, you really feel bad. And I'll tell you what happened to me when I had my first breakup. Right, so I was not going for the NEET exam then. I was just a second year student. So that is when I had my first breakup, and it feels so bad, and it drives you so anxious that even if you look at her somewhere, right, you'll already start having palpitations. And forget about her. If you by chance look at someone who seems like her, then also you start having palpitations. And life is difficult after the breakup. But I'll tell you something. What this breakup does is it makes you stronger. It prepares you for some more worse moments. They come in your life at a later stage, and you become stronger. And remember, at this time, when you feel as if there is a wall that is touching the sky and you cannot go out of it, time comes when this wall will gradually come down. And you need some kind of motivation to keep yourself going, right? So what is the best kind of motivation that you can have for yourself is to do best possible level in your exam and get a good rank. And believe me, this is not the end of life. You'll again fall in love, right? And you'll find the right person. And if you look back after many years, you will find the reason that whatever happens is for your good only, right? Whatever God does is for our benefit, and there is something good hidden for us in everything that bad happens to us. We cannot see it at that moment, but later, take it from me, later when you become more wiser and older, and when you go back and think that perhaps whatever happened, it was for your own good, right? But for the time being, what you need to do is you need to get some counseling if it is important. See, I always stress about feeling bad. If you're feeling bad, if you're feeling depressed, then there is nothing wrong in taking a counseling, right? And we, the doctors, we are more irresponsible towards our own health, right? We care for others' health, but we are never serious about our own health. So take a counseling. It helps a lot. I'll tell you, it helps a lot. Taking counseling helps you a lot, right? At times, even I have taken counseling, because all of us are humans, right? We are not gods, and all of us have the right to get depressed at some time in our life. And if I'm depressed, what is wrong in going to a psychiatrist, take some counseling, or take a hypnotherapy, or at the worst, let me start myself on an SSRI. So I don't understand what is the bad in it. So it is good, and SSRIs are magic pills. So Dr. SP, I'll tell you, please, if you're actually feeling that bad, right, that you're not even able to do your daily duties, and that happens in depression, it happens, then please go and tomorrow itself seek a consultation, and believe me, you will come out as a winner. Taking some medical help does not mean that you are weak. Every one of us, we need some kind of support in our life at some time, and that person can be anyone. And that person even can be a doctor, he can be a psychiatrist, he can be a friend, he can be our mother, he can be our father. So if talking to your parents, it gives you some solace, that is also a good thing. Let your parents counsel you, right? So Dr. SP, motivate yourself that there is something big ahead coming to you, and please charge up yourself, focus on your revision now, and make a timetable, and you would see that there is no time now. But you need some help, you need any other help, you can always DM me also, right? And DM me, and on Facebook, message me, or Instagram. I'll give you my phone number. If you want, then I'll counsel you also, right? I'll talk to you, all right? Because I can understand how you must be feeling. All right. Moving on to the next doubt, guys. There is a student, Shreya Sharma. Sir, I've started revision and I expected revision would take less time, but it is taking so many days. I wanted to complete one revision before AIMS. Please tell me how can I increase my speed, or if I'm not able to complete schedule, what should I do? See, usually this is something that happened to me as well, because I wanted to go into AIMS with one revision, but when I completed my course, the AIMS was only 20 days after when I finished my course, so it was physically not possible for me to revise the entire course in these 20 days. And if by chance I would have done a superficial revision just for AIMS, I knew practically that I would never get through AIMS in those 20-day revision, right? But I knew that if I judiciously use these 20 days along with the other days which are about to come till the NEET exam, then I have a great shot in the NEET exam. So I did not want to compromise, right, my NEET exam preparation, means AIPG, which we had at that time, right, just for the AIMS exam, because then I would have been a loser not only in AIMS but also in the AIPG. So my focus was that it's not that I would not give AIMS. I went to the AIMS exam, I gave the AIMS exam to get some experience before the AIPG, how an exam looks like, how it feels like, right, in the examination hall. But I was not serious about the AIMS because I knew my limitations, because I did not have much time to revise before the AIMS. So that was a very difficult decision for me to take. And sometimes we get, obsessive that I need to give AIMS. So I would advise you, Shreya, that you can make your schedule as per the AIPG exam, and when the AIMS exam comes, right, you can go and give an attempt for it with your whole heart, right? So there is nothing wrong in that. All right, guys. Vaishnavi Sai has asked another question. Sir, if I give my subject-wise tests in the second revision, is it too late and going to be hectic then? See, you can give your subject-wise test anytime you wish. You can give. There is nothing wrong in it, but I would rather say the day of tests, they are gone now. Now it is more of a time of revising your notes and obviously doing Q banks, solving questions. And if giving a subject-wise test gives you, suppose you are finishing one subject and you want to give a subject-wise test, it makes you feel good, you can go about it. There is nothing wrong in it, and it depends upon you. Like, for example, if this subject-wise test will make your revision rocky, then in that case I think you should miss it. Rahul HB has asked, sir, can you mention the name of 5 disorders in the description? We can quickly watch that video whenever we want to revise. Rahul HB, I wish I could do that, but see, I have to spend a lot of time in recording this, then editing, then uploading, then posting. So I'm struggling a lot to keep up because I have a lot of other works to do, right? So I wish I could do that, but I'm really at loss of time. Alright, Manda Sumant has asked something about COVID. Sir, which anticoagulant should be preferred in COVID patients? Patient with comorbidities, patient without comorbidities. Now let me tell you something. Why do you need anticoagulant in COVID patients? The reason being there is a risk of thrombosis, right? So now you need to find out what is the cause of that thrombosis. The cause of thrombosis is vasculitis, means inflammation is the cause of this thrombosis that can be seen. So we need to find an anticoagulant which has obviously anticoagulant effect, plus if it has additional anti-inflammatory effect, that would be a bonus. And which one do you think is that? That is heparin, right? So the heparin we prefer here is LMWH, low molecular weight heparin is preferred. There are 3 reasons. One, it is an anticoagulant, that is self-understandable. Second, it has anti-inflammatory effect, so it can secondarily benefit us in case of thrombosis induced by vasculitis. Third, heparin has antiviral effect as well. What it does is it can inhibit the attachment of virus. So 3 effects which are seen. But there is one catch here. You know that LMWH is excreted unchanged by kidney, so it should not be given to patients with renal failure or severe renal impairment. And you know that COVID can cause severe renal impairment in some patients. So if it is a patient of COVID with severe renal impairment or renal failure, in that case you cannot use LMWH. So what should I use now? Now I prefer UFH, unfractionated heparin, right? So overall LMWH. If it is COVID with renal impairment, go for UFH. Alright, so now I'll come down to one of those doubts which one student has asked, and I told you I'll discuss it last. And Ankush Singh, he has asked, sir, I have to invest 5 days in December as it is his eldest brother marriage, and it is making him anxious as he would be unable to study there. What should he do, and how should I make most of these days? See, Ankur Singh, I'll tell you something. It is a little bit difficult for you because it is your own elder brother marriage, right? In my time when I was preparing, there was a marriage of my cousin, so I could skip it. Because it was cousin's marriage. But if it was my own sister or brother's marriage, it would have been difficult, right? So you are on a tight spot, and I can understand that. But you need to find a way out because the number of days are always wasted, and this is the reason why precisely I always tell you need to have 7 to 10 days for cushion. So remember, I've told you in previous PHARMCAST that when you make a timetable that ends on December the last, right? For Jan, the 5 to 10 days which you have in Jan, don't even count it, because that will help you to cushion. So Ankush, if you would have prepared like that, if you had those 5 to 10 days, you could have borrowed them to cushion your preparation, because so that this helps you, because you never know what is going to happen. You might fall ill, or there would be some, this is not a bad news, but this is a good news that your brother is getting married. But nevertheless, it's bad news for you because you have to invest 5 days in those. So I would advise you, be 50% invested. You cannot just leave it altogether. So you can choose a part of the day where you would be invested in the marriage, part of the day when you are preparing. So I would advise you in the morning hours, right? 5 hours, right? In the morning, let us say 9 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock, till the lunch. You can devote it to your preparation. Then again, go to the marriage preparation in the second half. Because as it is, what happens in the second half, our productivity little bit decreases because of fatigue, right? So you can utilize the day like that. When you're fatigued, you can go and enjoy your marriage as well. And the last day as it is would be gone because of all those ceremonies and all. So like this, so this is all that we had to discuss today. And again, I will ask to remind Dr. SP. Dr. SP, if you are really feeling depressed and you need to talk to someone, please DM me, directly message me in Facebook or Instagram, your phone number, right? I'll be more than happy to talk to you and to contribute in some way to take your sorrow down, right? And I'm always ready, guys, to hold your hands whenever, however you require me, because I'm not just your teacher, I'm also your friend. That's all, guys. Take care. Bye-bye. This was Dr. Ranjan with you.